Hi, students. I've heard from a few of you recently that we have a Canvas page with research resources, but it seems kind of overwhelming and you aren't sure where to start to find information that would be helpful to you. So this is just a brief overview of how things are organized in Canvas. I'm always adding to this. People are always sending things that we can add, so it will get bigger, and I don't want it to seem confusing or overwhelming. Obviously, this is my view, so it's going to look a little bit different from what you see. But the first thing to know is that if you turn on announcements, I try to never make more than one announcement in a day unless it's something really time sensitive. And I am trying to megaphone things that I see in other college-wide emails or that faculty or students send me, different conferences you can submit to, different resources, different learning events. So try to have your alerts turned on for Canvas so that you'll see those at least weekly when you get the weekly summary from Canvas, or you can have it come straight to your email whenever the page is updated. The primary module that students start with is right here, Hello Future Researcher. Obviously, the overview is going to tell you a little bit about how everything is organized. When I'm meeting with students one-on-one, spend a ton of time with these next two links, and I've tried to kind of organize these in descending order of how much they are used. So the second tab here where it says UK Research Contacts is updated all the time. It's really important for people that are looking for research mentors and they're not sure who to reach out to. So first you see in yellow where I'm highlighting certain skills, kind of communication strategies, outreach strategies to make sure you don't annoy someone that you're trying to work with. Don't forget to fill out the new research interest survey. That only goes to me. There are 800 of you. It helps me keep straight who's interested in what specialties and what types of research, because occasionally I do hear from researchers who say, hi, I'm a pediatric endocrinologist. I'm looking for a student with that specialty interest to help me with a project. And I can go to the survey results and find a student who's likely a good fit for that project instead of announcing it to all 800 students when there may be very few with that interest. So make sure you fill that out. You can fill it out as many times as you want as your interests change, and it just helps me keep you on my radar. These are all different websites or groups of people that can be helpful when you're looking for mentorship, research mentorship, and mentorship in general. Obviously, the ADDs are really crucial here, especially for smaller or more competitive specialties where no one's just going to hand you a research project because you emailed them. You really kind of have to do your time, maybe do some shadowing, contribute in other ways, and sort of gain trust and gain a reputation before you'll then be looped in on research. This happens a lot in some of our clinical areas that don't do a lot of research that students can help with. Same with house advisors, they can help with that sort of thing. Many of you participate in the PSMRF program where you can request to be matched with a prior PSMRF mentor. And don't forget about the Scholars at UKY database. I have this pulled up on a separate tab, so here's what it looks like. What I love about this is you don't have to just be searching through everyone in internal medicine faculty and then everyone in family medicine faculty. You can actually just type in something. So I'm going to type in diabetes. Let's say I have an interest in diabetes related research, and it will share you with you the research units that are involved, like Barnstable Brown. It will share you the specific researchers, the grants, the recent publications, kind of gets you a big picture idea of everyone at UK in clinical departments, in basic science departments, maybe elsewhere on campus. Notice here there's folks in the College of Nursing, so you'll just run into people that might be doing really great work and you wouldn't have known about them otherwise. It's a little more of an efficient way to find someone. I like to sort by year and look for people who have published in just the last couple of years on a topic that interests me, and that will really help me kind of narrow it down. And sometimes students say, well, I don't know what I'm interested in researching. That's fine, but then you kind of need to be willing to either say yes to whatever comes around or do more shadowing, do more reading, do more learning, and figure out what you're interested in, because researchers want to work with someone who's passionate about what they do. They don't really want to work with someone who just says, oh, I'll do anything, just give me a project. So if this feels overwhelming to you, keep doing some reading, keep doing some learning, and try to find someone who matches it with at least some of your initial clinical or basic science interests. When you do click on a certain researcher, you can scroll down and see their recent publications or grants. Their name is going to be highlighted in this turquoise color, but you may also notice other people at UK. You just get a sense of when someone has most recently published or been funded, who they're working with, what area of the topic that you're interested in that they're focused on. And certainly if you're looking for a lot of research outcomes, it's important to know that you're working with someone who has published recently and presumably could help you get some presentations and some publications. Scholars at UKY is not perfect. So if it doesn't list publications for someone, it doesn't mean that that person has never published. Don't make that assumption. Now, this is a list that I update as much as I can. We've built this in the last year to essentially identify a point person in every department that is willing to answer medical students' emails about research. So rather than you just email everyone in a department or email the chair who probably gets 200 emails a day, there is a person in most of our departments who has agreed to kind of watch for student emails and help those students get connected. What you'll see is that it's different in every area. So addiction research is not actually its own department, but it's a research area with a lot of intercollaboration. So Dr. Stoops is willing to just be the point person there. He kind of knows everyone doing addiction related research and can help connect you. In other areas, there's suggestions about filling out certain forms, asking about certain programs. Some areas don't have a lot of student research opportunities right now, and they may ask you to shadow or to work in other areas first. Some are really organized, like family medicine has a slideshow of all the faculty that do research, and you can say, hey, I want to work with Dr. Smith. This is what they're doing that interests me. Others have formal programs like OB-GYN, where they really funnel students towards a summer learning opportunity. Some of these folks are physicians, resident physicians, attending physicians, nurse managers. So just kind of be ready to go through the process that any department uses and check back on this before you reach out, because it does change month to month, certainly semester to semester as people come in and out of these roles. But if you're reaching out to these people, just say, what you're looking for, why you're qualified, what your bandwidth is. And if you need more insight there, you can click here, how to reach out to potential mentors. There's lots of details there and even some templates for what kind of email to send. This is another page I use a lot. How much research involvement do I need? We've talked about this before. Don't let these scare you, but do let them motivate you. If you want help kind of wrapping your head around what these mean, let me know, and I'm always happy to talk to you. You can sign up on Calendly for a meeting or find me in person, but this gives you a bit of a sense of how many research outcomes. So that might be as small as just a quick little presentation at UK or as big as a first author publication are correlated with good odds of matching in any given area. So you'll see that generally speaking, some areas, pathology, family medicine, are expecting less research, and some are expecting a ton, dermatology, neurosurgery, orthopedic surgery. So in the same way that students in the past, when we were very grade-focused professional school experience, would study twice as hard to be top of their class and to do really well on step one and have kind of the best test scores and be sorted into those most competitive specialties that way. Now students are working twice as hard to build their CVs. They're really aggressively seeking leadership and service opportunities and research opportunities. So if it does seem like a lot of work, it is. And it's always been that way. It's just that the ways in which people stand out for residency have become more holistic, which I hope you see as a positive because it allows you to pursue your interests, whether those be leadership, service, or different types of research. If you want to know kind of what is this going to look like on my residency application, click here. It tells you a little bit more about that. If you're asked to get a CV, what is that? Click here. If you're told submit an abstract and you're like, what is an abstract? Click here. Please continue to give me feedback. Anytime you've completed a project, good or bad, this goes just to me and helps me keep track of who are our really great mentors, how are our students doing on the research front. And record keeping also helps you get some tips for just how to interact with mentors and how to be as useful as possible, even if you don't have a lot of skills. If I show you the following modules, I know this is probably the part that can feel overwhelming, so I'm going to minimize each one for now. This, again, I've tried to go in descending order of how frequently these are used. So a lot of people are looking at the skill building section here. These are just overviews. We add them at least monthly. So if someone says to write a case report, here's how to write a case report. If someone is talking to you about helping with an IRB, here's what is the IRB. So trying to just get you those big picture, like sort of 1 hour or less learning recordings. If you're an M1 or an M2 just thinking about research, this is a great way to kind of explore and build a little bit of background knowledge. Once you're involved in research, that's where a lot of these later modules are going to come in handy. So if someone's asking you to help with survey research, you're going to go to this module. REDCap and Qualtrics are very commonly used survey platforms, and this just helps you understand that. Remember, we have offices all over campus that help with statistics, they help with survey design, they help with the IRB. So a lot of these resources are just connecting you with the people whose full-time job it is to help with this kind of thing. So don't be scared, don't feel like you're doing it alone. This is just kind of collecting everything in one place. Same thing with data analysis resources. If you're asked about statistics or transcription, things to help manage data, you'll find that there. If you're asked to help do an IRB, this kind of very much goes in order, like what is the IRB? How do I find it? How do I decide if I need an IRB, etc. You've also got some student perspective pieces. And for those of you who work your way through a project, I'm always looking for more of these. What's it like from a student's perspective to do any type of research? So please continue to share those with me. There's a second set of IRB modules that's just a little bit more granular, like specific templates of different types of IRB protocols. If you're asked to help with a paper, the library has a ton of resources. So these are just a few brief links to connect you with some of those. Lauren Robinson is one of our superstar librarians who does a great job of helping students when they're asked to do systematic reviews or literature reviews or help with manuscripts. Many of our students, when we say research, we really just mean going to some conferences. You don't necessarily have to have authorship on a paper. So a lot of you are going to be looking for, how do I get a poster printed? Where can I present? How do I find a good PowerPoint template with UKCOM branding? How do I find a poster template? How do I access stock images? So there's a lot of information here. There's also information that's being added regularly about student-friendly conferences. So we have a whole list, thanks to one of your peers, of surgical conferences. There's a list of local conferences, and then I'm building, this is currently unpublished, a list of conferences by specialty. So those are always really helpful insight. And if you get that from your mentors about their favorite conferences or the highest yield or the most student friendly, please pass those on. That's really helpful to me. Publishing resources, similarly to writing, if you're asked to help, finish up a paper, or you're finishing up a paper of your own and you need to write a cover letter, or you need to know where something could be published, there's more information being added here. There's a whole module on case reporting. So case reporting is just where you write up an interesting medical case. It's usually a single case or just a couple of related cases. So it's not enough to be published as a real research data set. And it's where you're talking about some unique version of an illness. So something that a physician wouldn't have otherwise expected to happen. And in theory, when you share these at conferences with other physicians, it helps them recognize the potential for seeing that in their own practice and ultimately improve patient care. And if something really unique is noted, sometimes that can lead to broader clinical studies. A key thing to know about case reporting is writing up an interesting case and presenting it at a UK conference or a regional conference is a very, very minor level of scholarly involvement. You can do that in a few hours. It's no big deal. It's a great experience because it gets you thinking like a clinician. Publishing a case report or a case series is much more labor intensive. It's like several pages of detail. It can be hard to get into a journal. It used to be really common and now they're a little stingier. So if you're talking to faculty about writing up a case report, just make sure that y'all are on the same page about whether you're talking about kind of a minor poster at a conference or trying to actually publish a really unique case. The good thing about UK, even though it's unfortunate for our patients, is that we have really, really sick people show up here. And so there's always opportunities for case reporting. We're seeing a lot of sort of cutting edge, challenging, unique cases. So there's lots of information here about things like getting consent from a patient, collaborating with mentors, finding cases, that sort of thing. But it can be as simple as just asking a physician if they've seen a unique case recently and if you can help them to write it up as an abstract for a conference. Keep in mind that it's also specialty dependent. So internal medicine, for instance, really loves their case reports and they have lots of conferences that welcome those. Other specialties don't necessarily have as many opportunities to share a case report. It's not as much of a priority for how they navigate their conferences. So you'll want to talk to a mentor in that specialty, the ADD, or someone you're working with about whether you think a case report is a good fit for you. Medical education research is my area, so I'm biased here. There's a lot of information here, but certainly if you're interested in studying how we teach students, residents, sometimes this overlaps with how we teach patients. There's a lot of information here. Learning about that, I want to call attention to the course innovation apprentice information because that's an initiative I'm building so that you can work with course directors to help them build something new for their course year over year. Then if you're just wanting to learn more about different types of research, you're hearing research is a big thing and you don't have a good grasp of what we mean by research. Maybe you just worked in a lab as an undergrad and you didn't really know what else research could include. These modules just walk through some other areas besides medical education. Next is clinical, translational, and basic science. So just different categories of research that you're going to hear the most about. health equity and population research are maybe a little bit less popular, but very, very strong presence here on our campus because we do so much of that type of work. Quality improvement research is a great way for students to get involved. A lot of residents are involved in this. Sometimes people are doing QI work and they're not doing clinical research. And so when you ask for opportunities, you don't say, do you have a research project? You say, are you working on anything that I can help with? And maybe they have a QI project that they don't really think of as traditional research, but it's something that you can do, really enjoyable for students. Pay attention to the Churchill Fellows, which is a summer opportunity. They'll be offered again next year for 5 to 10 students. It's a great opportunity in its pilot year. And then I'm continuing to build specialty specific opportunities, resources for faculty mentors, and just kind of a catch-all bucket of additional resources. Please send me anything you would like, anything you think might be helpful to your peers. I'll give an example before I sign off how to reach out to potential mentors. I really use insight like this from students. So one of your classmates shared a template of an email that he sent to quite a few potential mentors. Others have sent lists of questions that they tend to ask when they're meeting with mentors. So information like that, I'd love to pass on. I don't want you to be overwhelmed by this. It's exciting. We're here to help. Reach out anytime to me or to the regional campus coordinators, and we can walk you through this process. I promise research is fun. You can have a great time. We're here to help you. I hope this makes it a little bit less overwhelming for those of you who have just kind of opened the Canvas page and then closed it. Take care.